friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to another week's What's for Dinner. If you're new here, welcome. I'd love if you would join my YouTube family. I put out What's for Dinner videos every week. Normally I put them out on Mondays, but this week I'm trying a little something new by putting it out on a Sunday. I just want to test some things out with my channel and try to grow and see if maybe YouTube will put my videos out a little bit more because I'm not putting it out on a Monday and a day that's maybe more people are watching. So I hope that's not a problem for anyone, but I hope that increases my audience. And yeah, so I've got 3 inspiration meals for you again this week, and I hope that you enjoy them. So let's get started. This first meal is creamy garlic butter salmon. I'm starting off with 2 salmon fillets that I have here that are skinless, and I'm just going to go ahead and season those with salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. In a large skillet, I went ahead and heated 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm just going to go ahead and place my salmon fillets in that hot oil, and once it's down in there, I'm just seasoning the other side of the fillet now with the same thing, salt, pepper, and some garlic powder. And I'm going to go ahead and cook those over that medium-high heat for 5 minutes on each side, and then go ahead and flip them as you see me doing here. And I actually broke the tail end off of one of those fillets and then had to flip it later. I didn't even notice I didn't flip it. And then I actually just wanted the sides of my salmon seared just to create a little crust, so you don't have to do that, but I went ahead and did. And now I'm taking 2 tablespoons of butter and melting it in that same pan that I cooked the salmon in, and I'm also going to add in 6 cloves of garlic that I pressed, and just go ahead and cook that garlic in that butter just for about 30 seconds or until it's fragrant. Next, I'm adding in a half a cup of chicken broth, and I'm using that chicken broth just to make sure to get all those little bits off the bottom of the pan. And you're going to go ahead and let this broth reduce to half. And then once it does, you're going to go ahead and add in 1.5 cups of heavy cream. And you're going to reduce your heat to low medium, and you're going to bring that to a gentle simmer. And make sure to stir that occasionally, and then you can season that with your salt and pepper to taste. And once that is simmering, you're going to go ahead and add in a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, and go ahead and just stir that in and let it simmer for about another minute or so until your cheese melts and your sauce begins to thicken. At this point, go ahead and taste your sauce and add any additional salt or pepper that you need. I'm going to be serving this over pasta, so I brought a large pot of water to a boil and added a good amount of salt to that water. And now I'm adding 8 ounces, which is a half a box of linguine. You could use whatever pasta you like though. And then once that starts to soften a little, I just push it down into the water all the way, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure to stir those noodles up to get them broken away from each other. Now I'm taking about 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley and adding that to my sauce, and I'm just going to go ahead and stir that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my salmon back into the pot of sauce, and I'm going to pour the juice from half of a lemon over those salmon fillets, and then I'm going to go ahead and kind of mix that sauce around it to get that lemon kind of incorporated with the sauce. And I'm also going to spoon that sauce over the top of the salmon. And for any of you that don't like salmon, I definitely think this would be really good with chicken as well. I served this with some air fried zucchini, and we really love this. The sauce is delicious. This next meal is for some Korean tacos, and I use ground turkey, but ground beef is traditionally used, and you can go ahead and use that if you would like. First, I'm starting off by making some little pickled vegetables, I guess you would say, for this, and I'm going to go ahead and just slice up 1 cucumber with my mandolin here. And as you can see, I'm not using the guard, and I'm afraid for my life at this part. I tried it out, and it just wasn't working for the cucumber until it got shorter. Then it was able to work with it, but because of the length of it, it just wasn't happening. So I was a little afraid, but nothing ended up happening. But for these radishes, which I'm using about 4 of them, it worked perfectly for that because I guess that they're smaller. So I went ahead and also just chopped those on up to some thin slices. This is the mandolin from Aldi. There's actually one from Amazon that I really want, and I'm thinking of getting it instead, and it has a protective glove, so that seems really useful. Anyways, now I'm just going to go ahead and add in 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and a spoon of sugar to those cucumbers and radishes, as well as some salt and pepper. And I do believe that I also wanted, or I tasted it and I felt like it needed a little bit more vinegar, so I added 1 more tablespoon of each vinegar and sugar. And now I'm going to go ahead and make a sauce for the taco. So I'm combining some equal parts of mayonnaise and sour cream here. I think about 3 tablespoons, so maybe about a 1/4 cup each. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder to that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of sriracha sauce to that. And I was thinking it needed some lime juice, so as I'm stirring it here, I'm thinking, oh my god, don't have any lime. So I just had this bottled lime juice and I added just a little bit of that, a few drops, and I believe I just tasted it to see if it was enough for me. And then when I tasted it, I also noticed I would have liked it a little spicier, so I went ahead and added another teaspoon of sriracha to that. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on the things for the meat. So in a bowl, I'm combining 2 tablespoons of brown sugar with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And I decided I wanted some fresh ginger for this. So here you'll just see me grating some ginger, and I believe I used about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons worth. I didn't really measure that, but as you can see, that looks about 1 to 2 tablespoons worth. And I'm going to go ahead and add that into that bowl for my sauce ingredients. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil and a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give that all a good stir. And now I'm going to need some green onions, so I'm just taking the ones that I keep on my windowsill in a mason jar with water. And I always just cut the green parts to these, so I'm just using my kitchen shears to go ahead and cut those up. And I don't have any exact measurements for how much of that I used. I just love green onions, so I went ahead and just cut the tops of whatever I had in that jar, as well as a couple of whole green onions that I had in my refrigerator that I just needed to use up all the way because they were just starting to turn a little bit older. So I just went ahead and cut those all the way, even the white parts of that. And of course I'm doing this on the smallest cutting mat like ever. So as you can see, things are flying everywhere, but whatever, it worked out in the end. I'm also going to be pressing 3 garlic cloves to go along with these green onions. Next, I have my skillet over medium-high heat, and I'm adding in some vegetable oil, maybe about 1 tablespoon's worth. It was just whatever I had left in my bottle there. And once that was hot, I go ahead and add in those green onions and garlic, and I'm just going to cook those for about 30 seconds to a minute, stirring continuously so they don't burn up. And now I'm adding in my meat, and I'm using ground turkey here. I know most people would typically use ground beef, but I substitute a lot of my beef for just ground turkey because I don't really notice too much of a difference with most meals, and this is one of them. This is one that I really couldn't tell a difference. It tasted amazing, and I've had it with beef before, and yeah, I'll keep using ground turkey for this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and break that all up and let that begin to cook up. Once there was no more pink left in my meat, I'm going to go ahead and add in that sauce to the meat and then just go ahead and give it all a good stir to coat the meat very well with that sauce. And you're going to see that after I went ahead and stirred this all in, I went ahead and tasted that meat, and I felt like I needed a little more sauce, a little more flavor, so I went ahead and added another tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon or so of brown sugar, and even I believe a little bit extra sesame seed oil to that. Of course, this is a taste preference, so you could always taste your meat, and if you like it the way it is, then that's fine. I do like the additional sweetness to the meat, so I did go ahead and do that. And we are just serving this on regular flour tortillas, so I'm just going to go ahead and heat those up, and that's about that. And then we're going to go ahead and serve this with some white rice, like an easy 90-second bag of this basmati rice. And that was it. As you can see, I just put it together, meat and the vegetables and that sauce. I even put some of those vegetables and sauce on that rice. Super good. We loved this meal. It was delicious and quick and easy. This last meal is Crockpot ranch pork chops. For this, I'm starting off with 4 pork chops that are boneless and frozen. You can use fresh as well. This is just what I had, and these are thick. They're maybe an inch and a half thick, and I'm placing a half a stick of butter that I just sliced up on top of those pork chops. Now in a bowl, I'm adding in some ranch powder. I tried to equal out like a packet's worth, so around there, a packet's worth, and then a can of cream of chicken soup and a can of cream of mushroom soup, and I'm just using the Aldi brand here. And then I'm going to go ahead and just mix that all together. I'm sure that you could just sprinkle the ranch packet on top of the pork chops and dump the soups in. I'm sure that would be pretty much just the same, but I had to go ahead and mix that all together. It was just going to bother me. And sorry about missing the fact that I didn't move my camera to a different angle for you guys here, so I didn't notice for a moment, but I started pouring that sauce just on top of the pork chops, and then I noticed I didn't move the camera, so you'll see me here now figuring it out. And I'm just spreading that out just on top of all those pork chops, and then you're just going to go ahead and cook that on low for 8 hours. And I am going to stress that because I've made this before at 4 hours on high, and I did not like it that way. The meat was not as soft, but yeah, 8 hours on low. So now I'm taking some potatoes that I'm going to have on a side dish for this, and this is super easy instant pot mashed potatoes. So I'm taking 2 pounds and just cubing those up. They don't have to be perfect because they're just going to get mashed up anyways. And yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and place those in my instant pot, and I'm going to add 1 cup of water to that, and I cooked them for 10 minutes on manual pressure and with an instant release. And now I'm just going to go ahead and mash those up. I'm not doing anything special to these because the soups from the Crockpot are going to be like a gravy to this, and it has so much flavor. I didn't feel the need to add anything extra to it. I was just being really plain here. So all I'm going to do is add in some milk, and I believe I added a half a cup of milk, and some salt and pepper. I'm not even doing butter because of the butter that's going to be in that gravy from the Crockpot. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix that together, and super simple. Like, you couldn't get any simpler for a little side dish here. So once those are done, I am just going to go ahead and stir up some of that gravy. And then you will see me just showing you that that meat is falling apart there. If you want it to shred it up, if you shred it up in there, it will absorb more of that gravy. And oh man, I really love that gravy. It's super delicious. So I served this over those mashed potatoes and with some roasted carrots, and wow, we really love this meal. It is very like home cooked, like a home style meal, and we love that. That gravy is fabulous. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner videos. I hope you all have an amazing week.